student drawing donated to me, which is really pretty nice. I think it's got a nice composition, simple layout. Say, to slightly improve this thing, I would adjust some of the tones and depth of the picture and refine some of the lines on it so they're not quite so rough. So I usually start off by lightening up the sky. Typical problem people have is they make the sky too dark. Yeah, some psychological reason for that. But I'm going to lighten it up, and this penchant for putting a sun in there has some primordial instinct in the human soul to do that. And the sun would be brighter than anything else, so I'm going to lighten that up. Here is sort of an abstract suggestion of a background. I'm going to give the impression of the sun hitting that coming through a window. So I'm going to lighten that up. I'm going to come down here sort of with a white wash. It evens out the tones and makes the picture less distracting. Distractions are the poison of a piece of art. It's got to have simplicity. Detail is good, but it is not what draws a person to a picture. They're drawn by the overall design and shape. And then as they get drawn in it and are curious, and as curiosity is evoked, they start recognizing details. And that becomes the fascination with the art as you develop a love for a piece, but it's not the initial draw. So we're going to do that now. The water needs to reflect what's above, so we're going to put in, it's got to be lighter anyway than the surrounding area. Now I've broken up the overall composition into some lights and darks, so it's much more effective. Now, it's sort of boring to have large spaces that are all the same, so I'd like to add some variation or rhythm within each piece of this puzzle here. And each of these large pieces needs to be somehow broken up into some smaller pieces. So I'm going to initially do this by working with the tone, or the darker the light, and then we can work on color and bring them into some sort of harmony and rhythm. Down here, I'm just going to add a little there. Gives a little more sense of depth. Now, if you really want a graphic style, mechanical type of art that's legitimate, and you could color everything the same, that's just not my goal of this demonstration. Anyway, I think these ragged lines up here are somewhat distracting, so with a preponderance of oil and a small amount of pigment and a round soft brush, I am drawing long fluid lines, converting that ragged line to something that to me is attractive. Now, a ragged line is sort of like a rough road in the country. It's a little harder to drive down. If you want to sail along your line and not get stuck, let's make it fluid. Now I just added a little red, so I don't have this redundancy of everything being the same across the picture. Another thing about drawing lines is straight lines are boring. I always feel like a line should have maybe about 3 jogs within it. Shouldn't be straight. Should be irregular. Everyone in the picture should be different. A little irregularity maybe in one part of that, but that you limit those, like this spice and food, not too much. and put a few lines as my brush runs out of paint. The amount of paint decreases, which is good because I don't want to emphasize this too much. And I'm going to go clean out my brush a little on the newspaper, and I'm going to get a little yellow. Again, I like to go from red to yellow. I like to go from blue to red to yellow when I paint. That helps me go from cool to warm and establish those patterns and rhythms. Okay, we're going to mix a little green with that red. That gives us a brown. And let's outline our rocks again. And let's put in a little bit of grass behind here and up here. I like the back side of the pond to be smaller than the front side and straighter. And that's because of perspective. Now, I don't want to try to draw a realistic tree, but I'm going to put some few more elements within it just to create interest. And I'm going to try seeing how stippling can form some lines and patterns in here. And let's just see. We just keep looking for some other things to add. At least in my mind, I've enhanced this picture. And I'm going to put a few black lines in it, which help, I think, make the whole thing pop. Hey, that's not exactly black. It's mixing with the blue in my brush. I'm going to put some texture right here. There's some grass. It's a simple band. Here, I'm going to repeat it. Sort of like to repeat everything 3 times. There we go. It's a nice simple formula that frequently leads to an effective picture. Here, let's see where we can put in some yellow highlights. And then we're going to get a little squiggly line here. It's going to be one of my elements in my composition. So I repeat it about 3 times, my sort of squiggly yellow line. Keep varying it, not the same. I'm going to put my grass more, a little more yellow here. Let's go back and forth because this is a reflection in the water. Put a little over in this tree trunk. Balance it out a little. Hey, I picked up a little of the paint from that tree and bring it over here. That adds some harmony to the whole thing, spreading out the colors. And we're going to do a little white for our final highlights here. Let's get a little bright. Yeah, it's not too bright, but would have been good if it was. A little white here, there, there, there. There we go. Right there, a little across the water.